Hi, this is Greg Krasovsky. I'm an American attorney. This is the second part of my video regarding legal assistance for American citizens and American lawful permanent residents who are currently in Ukraine or Belarus. In the first part of the video, I discussed why you need to leave and why we can help you with issues that you may face in terms of immigration law and other areas of law that need to be overcome in order for you and your loved ones to be able to leave the country with minimal problem, risk as quickly as possible, and with minimal legal consequences. This part is going to be for those who, for some reason, cannot leave or whose loved ones cannot leave and end up being stuck in a potential war zone, whether it's from foreign invasion or local civil war or civil strife. Remember, what we've seen over the last 30 years in countries that have undergone civil war and civil strife, whether it was the former Soviet Union when it fell apart, or Yugoslavia when it fell apart a couple of years later, actually at the same time, or we're talking about subsequent serious civil conflicts in places like Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and other places. Remember, folks, you can be facing not just regular street crime because law enforcement and the criminal justice system has ceased to function effectively. You could be facing ethnic cleansing, ethnic intimidation, harassment, assault, possibly selective prosecution, arbitrary detention, seizure of your property, arrest, beatings, torture, unjust and unfair and capricious convictions, and incarceration. And you may not be able to get the assistance of your home country because our diplomats can only do so much abroad, and our diplomats are not local law enforcement. They can't protect you from those who want to hurt you because you are an American citizen, a lawful permanent resident, or someone affiliated with American citizens and green card holders, their family members, their loved ones, their employees. So if you're in any of those categories and you end up being in a place like this, you certainly need legal protection. The best way to get additional legal protection is to reach out to local lawyers. My law offices have worked for years in places like Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, with local lawyers to make sure that our clients receive as much protection as they can get and they're entitled to from local law enforcement, from local prosecutors. And if they can't get protection like this because the criminal justice system has broken down, or the criminal justice system doesn't want to help you, you're not on the priority list, you're not well connected, then we make sure that you can get sufficient protection from private security companies that we know, work with, and can vouch for. And then you can also get additional protection from local non-profit organizations that defend human rights and prevent people from becoming victims of ethnic intimidation or racism or xenophobia. So this is another reason to make sure that if you're staying behind, whether voluntarily or because you had no choice, you just weren't able to get out in time, to remember, you're not alone. We can help you out. Obviously, legal services cost money, but for those who can't afford it, we are able to provide limited services on a pro bono basis. And we can also put you in touch with local organizations that will help you protect your rights. So don't feel that you're abandoned. Make sure you reach out to us, as well as to U.S. consular officials whether at the nearest U.S. embassy, or if you still have email access or phone access, you can also reach out to the State Department in Washington, D.C. Make sure that they have you on their lists. They know where you are. A good example is what happened to American citizens, permanent residents, and their loved ones in Afghanistan after the fall of Kabul to the Taliban last year. A number of American citizens, obviously the fall of Kabul was unexpected, despite U.S. government and President Joe Biden's pledges that, Kabul would not be overrun because we spent so many years arming and training the Afghan army. Look what happened when push came to shove. The Afghan army units quickly folded, went over to the side of the Taliban, and the Taliban were able to quickly seize Kabul. Now, the U.S. citizens and their loved ones who were stuck there, many of whom the U.S. State Department or the Department of Defense wasn't able to help rescue and get to the airport, had to rely on the assistance of U.S. nonprofits. Brave American women and men who are volunteers, who are former veterans, who helped get peoples out of harm's way, who ended up doing crowdfunding to raise money for private charter commercial flights to get people out, who reached out to the Taliban through informal channels and were able to secure safe passage, were able to secure transportation along with protection, basically bodyguards, who were able to accompany American citizens, permanent residents, and their families from their places of shelter, residence, or hiding to the airport, and were able to get them out when the U.S. government wasn't able to do so. In this case, we're going to do the same thing. If for some reason our American government can help us to get us out or get our loved ones out, then we need to help ourselves. And we're grateful and we're lucky. We should be grateful and we're lucky to already have the benefit and the experience of the Afghanistan evacuations. Those organizations are in place. They know how to get things done. And if necessary, along with other nonprofit volunteer groups, we can help get people out, even without U.S. government assistance. So, to make a long story short, if you or your loved ones, American citizens, permanent resident, green card holders, or just local citizens, haven't been able to get out on time for whatever reason, financial, legal, family, personal, health reasons, don't feel that you're alone. Reach out for help, and we'll be glad to help you out, along with local partners, local lawyers, local security companies, and local nonprofits, and local human rights defenders. Thank you. I wish everyone the best of luck, and as I've said before in my previous part 1 to this video, let's just hope that no one gets in harm's way, that diplomacy prevails, and open conflict does not start. All these issues that Ukraine is facing today can be easily resolved through normal, reasonable, diplomatic negotiations. But you have to show mutual respect, and you have to be able to compromise and realize that, look, everyone's living in one country. Let's respect each other, regardless of political views, the languages that we speak, the religious affiliations that we may have, or our ethnicity. Let's try to work together in a spirit of tolerance, democracy, respect of everyone's inalienable rights, also the right to equal representation, right, before the law, and equal treatment before the law. And regardless of all the geopolitical stuff that's going on that can turn Ukrainians into pawns of this bigger geopolitical game of giants, including the U.S., Russia, China, and other forces, NATO, EU, let's just look out for the best interests of Ukraine. And if we can't rely on our politicians because they may be, paid for, supported by private business, oligarchs, or foreign government interests, then let's try to get things done ourselves through people's diplomacy, but through respect and tolerance. If we're going to succumb and come down to the level of, ethnic strife, hate, xenophobia, disrespect, racism, ethnic cleansings, then we're at a dead end. We're not going to have a country for much longer. And I say this as someone who's also Ukrainian. My heart hurts to see what's going on today. But regardless of what you think, of my recipes to get things straightened out, and my recipe has always been respectful negotiations, reasonable compromise settlements, doing things in the best interest of your community, of your country, trying to avoid any interference from foreign forces or any dependence or virtual colonial enslavement to a foreign power. I think those are reasonable things. But regardless of what you think of them, make sure you share this video to people who may need it, need to see it, and let them know that help and assistance is available, not just from the U.S. government, in terms of the State Department, the Department of Defense, other agencies of the executive branch. You can also obviously seek the assistance of local congressmen, your local senators, who can petition those government agencies on your behalf to make sure you're not forgotten. But assistance is also available from the American legal community, including the Ukrainian American legal community, and various nonprofits, Ukrainian American nonprofits, other international nonprofits, human rights organizations that should defend your rights regardless of your position in this conflict. And I'm talking about famous organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, stuff like that. But assistance is also available from regular people who can come together in nonprofit volunteer movements to help get people out of harm's way and protect them. Thank you. God bless you and best of luck.